Hola clase, ¿cómo están ustedes? Hoy vamos a aprender un poquito de la cultura peruana, especialmente en las montañas de los Andes. So we're going to talk a little bit about Peruvian culture today in the Andes Mountains. We're going to get right to it. So enfrente de nosotros tenemos una foto y en inglés, ¿cómo se llama? What would we call this animal in English? If you said guinea pig, estás correcto. Muy bien. En Peru se llama el cuy. So in Peru, they call it cuy, and cuy is actually a delicacy. What does that mean? That means that it is served as a very special dish and eaten during a special occasions as well. So yo voy a mostrar ustedes diferentes preparaciones. Hay cuy frito. Hay cuy asado, aquí, like barbecue, también, pero también hay una festival en Ecuador que es muy importante. So cuy isn't just regional to Peru, but it is to Ecuador as well. And so this is one of the things me encanta mucho de lenguajes that I love about languages is that it gives you una perspectiva diferente, especialmente con la comida, especially with the food. It allows you to have more cultural awareness. If your first response was, ew, gross, let's be mindful to the fact that people eat this every day, and maybe something that you are eating might be considered something gross to somebody else. So it's better to try to not say those things out loud. So 20 years ago, would I have eaten cuy? No, absolutely not. But because of all of my travel experiences and my language experiences, I have slowly become a reformed picky eater, and I'm willing to try anything. I've actually tried cuy a couple different times. The thing that I struggle with for the most part is that it looks like what it is. I'm pretty sure I'd be a vegetarian if all of my meat came like this, but it helps you put into perspective where your food is coming from. I do know that when my students go to Peru, this is the first thing they want to try and eat, so usually we get it as a group so we can not waste it, because it can be pretty expensive. It can run to be about $25, which is mucho dinero actualmente, anywhere from $15 to $25. So we share it just because we know that whoever gets it is probably not going to eat the whole thing. And it does come with the eyes and the teeth, which, you know, is a reminder of where your food comes from. So that is always a really powerful experience to have. So yo voy, el cuy es muy importante en la cultura. So yo voy a mostrar ustedes un video de una fiesta con los cuys. So actually in Ecuador, they're revered. That's a huge part of their sustainability in life. So vamos a ver un video on this cuy festival. And of course, there is a winner, and the winner is fried the sparing pan. So there's definitely big payoffs for the winner. So you can see here, Cuyasic Park, right? So this is part of the festival. So vamos.
7, 8, 9, 10. Bueno.
Le abro la puertita. Ellos son la vez que me mantiene en mi hogar, mis animalitos, y tengo yo para mantener, sobrevivir, hasta me ha valido para el estudio, para mis hijos. Maquillándole con las uñitas, pintando las uñitas. Que quede bien guapita mi cuisita. Es tan bella mi cuisita, así como ve usted. Esta es la ropita materna porque está la cuisita en días de parir. De embarazadita, como se dice.
Felicitaciones en primer lugar a Marcelita. Qué elegancia y con qué garbo, ¿no? Esa mirada altísima.
Muy bien. Entonces, ¿lo prueban? Would you all try it? I'm all for trying something. Then if I don't like it, I don't like it. But it always has pushed my limits now, and helped me be not a picky eater is just by trying something. And so that's something that I love about learning languages and traveling is that it pushes me outside of my comfort zones. So something else that you'll come across if you fly into Cusco or the Andes Mountains, is coca tea. And this goes way back to the Incas that we talked about in our last lesson with Machu Picchu. The Incas regarded coca as a divine plant, mainly because of its property of imparting endurance. Nevertheless, its use was entwined with every aspect of life, the art, mythology, culture, and economy of the Inca Empire. Because Cusco, if you fly into Cusco, it sits about 10,000 feet in the air. So we come from sea level, so this can be a really big adjustment, and altitude sickness is no joke. Coca tea really helps alleviate these symptoms of lightheadedness, headaches, stomach aches, and this is the first thing any place will offer you, some coca tea. They can put it in tea like this where you can see the leaves are put in there, or there's lozenge forms, all other different forms. And it has a whole bunch of healing properties, a long-lasting energy boost. It's a painkiller, a remedy for altitude sickness. This is why it's so popular with so many tourists that are just coming, a source of nutrients and an upset stomach. And you can buy it like this on the street, in the market, or you can buy it in the lozenge form too. And so the coca leaf could be turned into cocaine if you use synthetic chemicals as well. So yeah, so there's that. And this is something that the Incas used to use. This is something people in Cusco and the Andes Mountains use every day, as long as many tourists that are walking through there. It's called the coca leaf. Las papas. I always found this really fascinating about Peru. It has one of the quickest or the fastest rising cuisines in the world right now. Just phenomenal, phenomenal food. And that's something that my students experience when we go into the small town of Ollantaytambo and they do homestays. Their families go to the market every single day and their food is as fresh as it can be. The chicken was killed that morning. All things are made with fresh ingredients. And so it really allows you a very different experience. There isn't McDonald's that you have access to, or Burger King, or any kind of fast food really, and so you're eating very differently. So it's really interesting for me to always see my students eat really healthy for these 2 weeks that we're doing our homestay. And then first thing we do, we get to the airport, they see McDonald's. Of course, I love my French fries too. I'm not shaming. They want to eat the McDonald's, and I say, just wait a second, your stomach's not ready for it. And of course they'll eat it and they get upset stomach because it's such a change in food. And that's why I love doing this experience as well, is to be in the United States, we've gotten a little bit further removed from our food. Per se, we don't know always where it comes from, or it could be preserved. And eating fresh ingredients is really life-changing. So one of the things you're definitely going to get in your meals every single day are potatoes. ¿Por qué? Porque hay más de 400 variedades de papas in Peru. So there are more than 400 different varieties of potatoes that come from Peru. This was mind-blowing for me. I'm Irish. I thought potatoes came from Ireland, but in fact they come from Peru, and there's over 400 varieties of them. So in Peru, when you are eating, you definitely have at least a potato during lunch or dinner. I mean, it is very, very common. And they're delicioso, and who knew they came in so many different forms, right? This is what also is so great about travel, that it just opens your mind to the other possibilities that are out there, that there's 400 types of potatoes. Vámonos. La sopa. So one of the last things I'm going to cover today is tripe. So this is called tripe soup. And again, for those of you that do not know what tripe is cow intestine. So depending on who you are, this can be difficult or this can be easy. I did have tripe soup the last time I was in Peru with my students. I was involved in a really special ceremony with my homestay family, and everybody was served tripe soup. I wasn't sure if it was tripe soup. I had a general idea. So I, don't necessarily want to eat intestine. So I just used my imagination and pretended that it was noodle soup. And let me tell you, the soup was phenomenal. It was so, so good. And also, though it might not have been the first thing I picked, I am very mindful about what I can be grateful for. So there's plenty of starving people all around in Peru. And if I'm being served a bowl of soup, you better believe I'm going to be eating that bowl of soup instead of wasting it. And so food waste is something that I'm always conscious of when I'm traveling and being mindful of others. And being appreciative that might not be something I picked, but if it's been served to me, you better believe I'm going to try my best to eat it. So these are just a couple of different fun things that I love about Peru. Nosotros vamos a encontrar más cosas, but I hope that you guys have a great day and think a little bit about where your food comes from. Nos vemos pronto. Ciao.